Breaking news tonight. The CDC panel voting unanimously to make 28 million children eligible to receive the COVID vaccine. CDC advisors recommending a smaller dose of Pfizer's vaccine for children 5 to 11. The first shot's expected to go into arms in a matter of hours, allowing kids to get fully vaccinated in time for Christmas, what parents need to know. Also, election night is here. All eyes on the tight battle for Virginia's governor. Both President Biden and former President Trump looming large over the race, what it means for the midterms and beyond. President Biden's final day at the UN Climate Summit, the global pledge he announced on cutting greenhouse gases. Back home, the standoff over his agenda, the president's new message to key holdout Senator Joe Manchin, and soaring consumer prices. NBC News asking the president, how long will it last? Opening statement of the trial of Kyle Rittenhouse, the teen charged with fatally shooting two men during violent protests last summer. Will he take the stand? The mysterious jetpack man sightings in the sky. Have authorities cracked the case? The answer may surprise you. And meet me in St. Louis, my ride to the top of the nation's tallest monument on our journey across America.
This is NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt, across America. Reporting tonight from St. Louis.
Good evening from the gateway to the west, St. Louis, Missouri, the second stop on our journey across America. A lot to report from here, including some struggles that will ring true in many American cities during this pandemic. But first tonight, following last week's endorsement by the FDA, the CDC tonight with the last word on COVID vaccinations for younger children. The agency late today approving Pfizer shots for kids 5 to 11 under an emergency use authorization, meaning it's just a matter of hours before younger children will start receiving their COVID vaccinations. Some 28 million of them could now be eligible for the shot. Some experts calling it a game changer. Some parents, however, unsure whether they want their child to get the shots. Our Tom Costello has late developments.
The final CDC vote came late this afternoon.
I am going to take my child to get this vaccine, and I have gotten my other kids vaccinated.
The CDC's advisory committee voting unanimously to approve emergency use authorization for Pfizer's COVID vaccine for 5 to 11-year-olds. Already, vials are rolling out to hospitals, pediatricians, and pharmacies nationwide. The orange caps designate children's doses, 2 shots with smaller needles at a third of the adult dose, which comes with a purple cap.
The U.S. government has placed orders with us that basically covers every kid of this country. So I think the supply will be there, and hopefully a lot of kids will benefit from it.
The CDC reports 1.9 million known cases among 5 to 11-year-olds, 8,300 hospitalizations, and at least 94 confirmed deaths, with African American, Hispanic, and Native American kids at 3 times the risk for hospitalization. Leading pediatricians say vaccinating this age group is critical if they are to return to a normal childhood.
There are children in the second grade who have never experienced a normal school year. There are students in middle school who missed out on school sports and extracurricular activities.
Many parents have been nervous but anxious to get their children vaccinated.
I'm kind of scared a little bit, but when I did it, I was okay.
Others are worried that the vaccine hasn't been studied long enough, and some worry about extremely rare cases of heart inflammation in older children.
It's just scary because it's like, what is it? And then there's so many different ups and downs of what the vaccine does and what it doesn't do.
The first wave of 5 to 11-year-olds who received their shots could be fully vaccinated by Christmas.
I think people should realize that a choice not to get a vaccine is not a risk-free choice. It's a choice to take a different risk, and I would argue a more serious risk.
And Tom, the White House, I know, has been deploying a big army of healthcare workers to get kids vaccinated.
20,000 healthcare professionals. They're going to be putting 15 million doses into arms. They want to start doing this as soon as tonight. Big change like this one behind me through the week and into the weekend, Lester.
All right, Tom Costello, thanks. Now to Virginia, where the tight race for governor is the most closely watched contest on this election night, with possible major implications for next year's midterms and beyond. Katie Beck now with the latest.
On Election Day in Virginia, The candidates for governor in a dead heat. A Republican victory means flipping a state President Biden won by 10 points.
What can happen tomorrow will be a statement that will be heard across this country.
The race seen as a referendum on President Biden, whose approval rating has dropped to 42%. 71% of Americans think the U.S. is on the wrong track. It hasn't stopped former Virginia governor and Democratic candidate Terry McAuliffe from bringing Biden on the campaign trail. Biden tonight predicting a McAuliffe victory.
We're going to win.
While McAuliffe is linking Republican opponent businessman Glenn Youngkin to former President Trump.
I've beaten Trump twice in Virginia. Tomorrow we go 3-0.
Youngkin has not shared a campaign stage with Trump, keeping his distance while pressing McAuliffe on the school front in this ad.
I don't think parents should be telling schools what they should teach.
McAuliffe says his words were taken out of context. Heated culture wars in schools, now a primary issue in both campaigns, and it's galvanizing many Youngkin voters.
When you look at the politicization of schools, that just strikes me as wrong.
But Democrats tonight remain hopeful.
Coming out and just saying, we are a blue state and I would like it to stay that way is really important.
It could take a while to learn the outcome depending on how close this race is. Mail-in ballots postmarked today can be counted through Friday. Lester?
All right, Katie Beck, thank you. And for complete coverage of that election and other races, join Chuck Todd and Kristen Welker for a Meet the Press Election Night special streaming live on NBC News Now at 9 o'clock Eastern. So as the president predicts a Democratic victory in Virginia, he is still searching for a political win from Democrats on his own massive social and climate spending plan. But as Peter Alexander reports, he did secure a pledge from other leaders at that global climate summit.
Tonight, declaring this the start of a decisive decade, President Biden touting significant new steps at this crucial climate conference.
I can't think of any 2 days or more has been accomplished dealing with climate than these 2 days.
Under pressure to demonstrate action, not words, the president announcing 100 countries are joining the U.S., adopting strict new environmental rules to slash emissions of methane, a potent greenhouse gas.
Methane is 25 times more toxic to the environment than CO2. So we're making real progress.
But Republicans warn it will cost energy jobs. The president tonight also responding to the ongoing drama among Democrats back at home over his $1.75 trillion social and climate spending plan. Key moderate holdout Joe Manchin calling the president's spending framework full of, quote, budget gimmicks and a recipe for economic crisis, saying he's still not on board. Manchin today.
The White House knew exactly where I stood. There was a couple of concerns that we had to work through.
We asked President Biden about Manchin's criticisms.
Do you have a specific commitment from Senator Manchin to support your Build Back Better bill? Yes or no?
I'm not going to talk about the specifics of my conversations. He will vote for this. Joe will be there.
And we pressed the president about soaring prices, with inflation at a 13-year high.
So when specifically should Americans expect those prices to come down?
First of all, the significant reason why prices are up is because of COVID affecting the supply chain. And anyone who would prefer, as bad as things are in terms of prices hurting families now, trade this Thanksgiving for last Thanksgiving.
President Biden is now on his way back to Washington, where Democrats are still wrangling over his spending package, tonight announcing a new agreement designed to lower the cost of some prescription drugs for seniors. Lester?
Peter Alexander in Scotland, thank you. In our series Vote Watch, a reminder on this election day that voting requires scores of volunteers and full-time officials to make the process work. But in this heated political climate, a growing number say they have been threatened. Here's Pete Williams.
After Janice Winfrey, Detroit's top election official, declared that the 2020 voting went legally, she started getting threats. She says a man confronted her near her house and said he'd blow it up. Then the police reported that a white supremacist threatened her life.
I told my husband, let's leave. Let's just leave town. So we did that. We left town for a couple of weeks.
She also did something more and took firearms training.
I felt very vulnerable. So I took the classes, and so now I carry a weapon.
Nationwide, hundreds of election officials report similar threats, some by voicemail.
I pray that your children get cancer and die a slow, miserable death. And you have to watch
Election officials told Congress about threats to them.
Tell the truth or your 3 kids will be fatally shot. Included our address, included my children's names, included a picture of our home.
The Justice Department's Deputy Attorney General has now organized a federal task force to deal with election threats.
We have a disturbing number of election officials who actually fear for their lives because of the job they're doing.
She says danger is a hazard for police, firefighters, and people in the military, but shouldn't be for people who run elections.
If you're just doing your job, sometimes on a volunteer basis, to protect the right to vote, you shouldn't have to fear for your life, and you shouldn't have to fear for the life of your family.
Investigators say the task force has received more than 300 reports of threats, launching investigations nationwide. Pete Williams, NBC News, Washington.
In Kenosha, Wisconsin today, opening statements in the homicide trial of Kyle Rittenhouse. Prosecutors say the teenager shot 3 people with an AR-15 style rifle during last year's social justice protests, killing 2 of them. His lawyer says Rittenhouse acted in self-defense and today revealed he will testify during the trial. In just 60 seconds, as so many American cities struggle with a surge in violent crime, I'll take you inside the effort here in St. Louis to combat it by deploying violence interrupters. Back now from St. Louis on our tour across America. At the height of the pandemic, the U.S. murder rate surged. And now, like so many American cities, St. Louis is grappling with how to keep citizens safe and convince tourists to come back. It's a distinction no city wants. Murder capital of America. The homicide rate in St. Louis was the highest in the country last year, the worst this city has seen in 50 years. Fear and crime run high downtown, pushing businesses, tourists, and families out. Late last week, gunshots rang out as Mayor Tashara Jones was giving a press conference on efforts to curb gun violence.
When I showed this video to my son, he thought that they were shooting at me. So my son should not have to carry that trauma with him on a daily basis.
Jones took office in April, born and raised in North St. Louis, all too familiar with violence.
Desensitization of gunshots in the distance is not normal, and of course this is not the St. Louis that I want any family to live in.
She made good on a campaign promise to cut the police budget, reallocating those funds to social services programs. But in the face of rising violence in recent weeks, added more officers downtown. She says the violence has gotten worse in the pandemic.
We're making intentional investments in economic justice and making sure that we're investing in neighborhoods that haven't seen investments in decades.
But the violence here is a regional worry.
She was a happy little girl, she was.
Just 2 months ago in neighboring East St. Louis, Illinois, Harriet Stringer's 3-year-old granddaughter, Kalia, was shot and killed. She was in Stringer's bedroom watching TV when a stray bullet tore through the wall.
That's when we heard some gunshots. Pow, 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 pow.
No arrests have been made, and Stringer says random gunfire continues to be a problem in her neighborhood. Do you feel safe in your own home?
Sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. People is not safe. Really, they not, because all this violence, it's got to stop. It really got to stop.
The St. Louis area hardly alone in this struggle. Last year, murders nationwide increased nearly 30% from 2019. Baltimore, Detroit, and New Orleans, also among America's most violent cities.
So this become our challenge right here.
But here in St. Louis, they're focusing on finding organic solutions. Cure Violence is a city-funded program attacking the issue head-on with violence interrupters. How do you see your role on these streets?
I see my role out here is to really meet the people where they at, the youngsters, to meet them where they at, to try to have an impact.
Many of these interrupters are ex-convicts who grew up in St. Louis. They patrol the streets, mentor high-risk community members, and engage local businesses and residents, working to anticipate where violence may occur and intervening before it does.
Our approach is one of compassion and one of empathy.
Muja Williams served nearly 30 years in federal prison. With Cure Violence, he's now dedicated to preventing the very crimes he once committed.
What motivates me to be a part of this right here is to try to clean up or try to correct or right what I have done wrong.
Introduced last June, the program is believed to have interrupted more than 400 incidents. But Williams says there's still a long way to go.
The work that Kurt Violence is doing now, I believe it's going to affect the way St. Louis look 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now.
So many here wishing for the violence to end. Up next, how daycares are combating the critical shortage of child care workers and what families need to know. Well, here in St. Louis, as in so many parts of the U.S., there is a severe shortage of child care workers, and it's bringing new obstacles for parents returning to work. Michelle Lee from our St. Louis affiliate KSDK has more.
How are we going to solve this mystery?
Daycare owner Alicia Lanier is frustrated.
Our enrollment is down, and we have a waiting list of like 375.
Lanier says it's been challenging to fill the open teaching job she has at her Urban Sprouts Daycare Center after some employees quit during the pandemic. She scaled back enrollment to maintain a state-mandated student-to-teacher ratio.
What do you think is driving the shortage here?
There are folks in the field who have decided to leave because of the pay. And now, because of the pandemic and the stress, it's really not worth what they are being compensated.
Nationally, the child care services industry is down more than 108,000 workers. The average child care worker makes about $12 an hour. Over 10 million jobs, from healthcare to hospitality, are open across the country. Lanier School serves mostly families of color, some low income.
Can I get a kiss?
Angela Blackshear helps take care of her grandkids.
Love you.
But childcare has been crucial for her daughter, who is a single mom.
It becomes challenging for us. We do pickups, drop-offs. You know, we got 3 different kids in 3 different locations.
But enrolling the kids at Urban Sprouts together has been tough. Blackshear's granddaughter has been on the wait list for a year.
Not only is there a limited access, there's limited choice. We should be able to find locations that can meet our needs.
Can you build a tower of yellow? A few miles away, Kristen Skibo runs Faith Academy and is giving bonuses, wage hikes, and incentives at all 3 of her centers, but is still falling short in staffing.
We have had to scale back. Our infant room at this location can hold 14 babies, and right now we have 4 in that room.
Back at Urban Sprouts, Lanier says filling the open positions is a top priority.
I believe that if we invest in our children, we'll start to see a change in our economy. We've got to start prioritizing children, and we will start to see a different America.
Michelle Lee, NBC News, St. Louis.
Also tonight, a high-flying mystery may have been solved. You may remember strange sightings in the sky near LAX airport over the last year or so. Some believed it was a man flying on a jetpack, but the FBI and FAA have another theory. New images from the LAPD appear to show a human-sized balloon resembling Jack Skellington from the movie The Nightmare Before Christmas floating over Beverly Hills. Up next, another view from high above. I'll take you inside a symbol of hope and possibility here in St. Louis. Finally, it's a symbol of this city and America that's so familiar from the outside. But today I got an inside view that put it in a whole new perspective. It's a must-see in the Show Me State.
It's really cool. Yeah. When our family drives by even, the kids get so excited.
The Gateway Arch and its soaring lines are postcard ready, but as good as the view from the ground is, what can we see up there?
You can see all the way about 30 miles into Illinois, across the Mississippi River, all the way to 30 miles into the state of Missouri.
Many are surprised to know that view is just a ride away, a very cramped and curving ascent, some 60 stories high. Do you get people who come in here and say, I can't do this?
Yes, yes.
Oh my goodness. That was quite a ride.
It is.
But worth it for this view from the apex. This is an amazing view. St. Louis is known as the gateway to the West. Now remind me the significance of what this is, what it represents.
So the original name was Jefferson National Expansion Memorial to commemorate Thomas Jefferson's vision for westward expansion and the Louisiana Purchase. We still tell those stories of westward expansion, which provided so much opportunity for people to move west and create new opportunities for their families.
And St. Louis was key to that, I mean, in that
Yes,
westward
most
expansion.
definitely.
Completed in 1965, the arch is as tall as it is wide, 630 feet. It tops out at the tallest American monument, a monument to the past with unparalleled views of the future.
And by the way, it's about a 4-minute ride up, 3 minutes coming down. Tomorrow, our journey across America continues in Washington, D.C., with my exclusive interview with the nation's top military officer at a critical time and an in-depth look at the city of Washington you don't usually see, our nation's capital beyond the Beltway. That's Nightly News for this Tuesday. Thank you for watching, everyone. I'm Lester Holt. Please take care of yourself and each other. And so long from St. Louis. Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.